There's been another near miss when it comes to China. That's our top story today. And the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, is calling for the Prime Minister to call Beijing and express his dismay after a Chinese jet put Australian lives at risk. Olivia Casely is live in the studio here with me. And this incident really casting a shadow over the upcoming visit by the Chinese Premier, Liv.
Certainly, Kieran, and it's one that Anthony Albanese told reporters in Rockhampton earlier that it's one that he'll be raising with Premier Li when he comes to Canberra. But the Prime Minister refusing to be drawn on this question about whether he'll raise it with President Xi himself by giving him a phone call. Just to bring our viewers up to speed, an Australian helicopter, it was basically enforcing sanctions against North Korea in the Yellow Sea on Saturday evening when it was intercepted by this Chinese fighter jet. It released multiple flares directly in its flight path. And thanks to some pretty quick thinking from this Australian pilot, disaster managed to be averted. But of course, it is raising serious questions about Chinese aggression. When it comes to the government's response, the Albanese government has confirmed that it's lodged a formal diplomatic protest with China. But the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, this morning says they need to be going a step further.
I think the Prime Minister needs to pick the phone up, frankly, and speak to the Chinese President, to President Xi, and express our deep concern, because at some stage there's going to be a miscalculation and an Australian Defence Force member is going to lose their life, and that is a tragic circumstance that has to be avoided at all costs.
But the Prime Minister says appropriate representations have been made.
We have made very strong representations at every level to China about this incident, which we regard as unprofessional and unacceptable. One of the things that had broken down over a period of time was any dialogue. That's why we've used all of those avenues of communication to make our position on this incident very clear.
This, of course, follows a separate incident in November last year where a Chinese warship emitted a sonar pulse that did injure an Australian Navy diver. We'll remember that Anthony Albanese did court controversy at the time because he did refuse to say whether he raised that incident with President Xi directly, even though relations between Canberra and Beijing, Kieran, have improved in the past couple of years. It's certainly a worrying sign. And interestingly, the timing of this, just last week, the Defence Minister Richard Marles confirmed that Australia will ramp up its joint military operations or naval exercises, I should say, with the Philippines, the United States and also Japan. And this is to try and counter a growing Chinese dominance in the Indo-Pacific.
Indeed, and the government says they disagree where they must. This is obviously one of those cases. Olivia, thank you for that.